Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
You disgust me.
Who gives a shit?
Go on.
I made it the fuck up.
I did.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to the new Tuesday with Geeks.
Or as I like to call it, the midweek midwits.
There you go. There you go. Actually, it was kind of hard to find a name that had TWIG in it again without doing twig again. So I was like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? So it became Tuesday with Geeks. And hello, Snortapoopas and Gap and Baron G Rock and Parrot Head and Rune Knight, Das Wolfen. Okay, so what is the difference between? Oh no, he brought the seal. What is the difference between? What's the difference between the shows? Okay. So, Week in Geek from here on out is going to be 1 hour, and it is going to be pretty solid, hardcore discussion. We're going to try to stay on topic. We're going to try to keep it to an hour, and we're going to keep the panel small, just to keep from stepping on each other. My tongue is hurting. It's been a long day. To keep from stepping on each other when we try to talk. So it should be a little bit more clean, a little bit more clear. Whereas Tuesday is kind of like the bullshit stream. Yeah, this is our stream that is. We will be doing some game stuff. We will be talking about some just general stuff, but this is just more or less just kind of a hangout stream. And in this one, I don't care. I mean, if you guys out in the audience want to come hang out and participate with us, let me know. I will shoot you a link. We will hang out and we will, step all over each other. We'll make a show out of it. This is more interactive, but it's only 1 hour. So, hey, Disney Sheep Herder and Joe Grognard and Gen X Geeks. Good to see you guys. All right. So, a big question people have been asking me already. Get your drinks out because... Yes, I'm about to say it. I played Cities Without Number this weekend. That's right, another Kevin Crawford game. Where's your booze? Where's your booze?
It's Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Yeah, can't get drunk on Tuesday. Got to go to work in the morning. Yeah, I know. Hey. I know, as much as it sucks, at least we're glad that we have jobs and we are able to work and earn money. So it'd be nice to be doing something better, but it's kind of like why we're building the YouTube game.
Yeah, one day we'll get to the point where we can just talk tabletop and pay the bills that way.
Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah. I mean, so far we do kind of have a niche that most of the big tubers don't seem to really get into very much. I mean, does anybody actually watch the Geeks and Gamers tabletop RPG stuff?
That's the thing. It's like I wouldn't be positive in like one of my buddies, the Common Nerd, does some of the Warhammer stuff for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like there's no like news coverage like you would expect out of like a Geeks and Gamers channel.
Yeah, because usually Geeks and Gamers is a big name. So
yeah, for like news coverage, like they'll have like 5 videos out in a day. It seems like.
Yeah, well, we like the Geeks and Gamers crew, so they're nice guys. I've met Jeremy personally; he's a nice guy. And I know that we are kind of broadcasting, kind of like straight up on Big Geek. So we're not actually trying to steal any of Joe or Joe's thunder or anything like that. It's just we We got to do our 1 hour show. It's kind of like we can't do it on Wednesday because that's when Grim does his tabletopless stream, and I'm like, I ain't gonna miss that for nothing. We might move to Thursday eventually, but for now,
But for now,
Tuesday
we have some Cities Without Numbers, don't we?
We do have Cities Without Numbers. You only watch our RPG stuff? Only? Okay, well then let's talk RPG stuff. Okay, so I ran Cities Without Numbers kind of impromptu on Sunday. And this is kind of how my opinion of it is. First off, I really like the operator class a lot. For those of you who don't know, the operator is the name of the new class that is presented in Cities Without Number. It is a classless class in that it has levels, it has XP gain, it also has base attack bonuses. However, beyond that, it does not have a prime requisite. And it does not have a niche. So you don't have to worry about your niche protection. Because the way they fixed this is Crawford uses a system that's called edges. And you get 3 edges, you get 2 at first level, and you get your 3rd one at 5th level. And that, along with his system of foci, which he introduced back with Stars Without Number and continued with Worlds Without Number, also comes back. So between edges and foci, you basically build the character that you want. And some of these edges can be things like starting out with $20,000 worth of cyberware, which is pretty hefty. And let me tell you, cyberware is expensive in the game. Your starting characters are, unless they have that particular edge, are not likely to have it unless you're a generous GM and you say something like, everybody can randomly take X amount of cyberware before you start the game.
So you've played a game or two of Cyberpunk in your day.
Mm-hmm.
How does this compare to you as opposed to, say, Mike Pondsmith's various iterations of Cyberpunk? Because this is effectively Cyberpunk with the sheer numbers filed off.
Yes and no. Part of the secret of Cities Without Number, and he says it in the in the background section and everything, that Cities Without Number is basically designed to either let you create your own dystopia and run it the way you want to with whatever bells and whistles you'd like to, or it's very well suited to taking your favorite dystopian cyberpunk setting and just overlaying it on top of there. So yes, it's very easy to grab all your information for cyberpunk and play it with Cities Without Number. Not one for one, but I mean, just using all the settings and stuff. Same goes for Shadowrun. Same would go for Carbon. Pretty much any type of cyberpunk futuristic dystopian setting that you want. Cities Without Number pretty well covers it. And again, that's where the operator class shines, is because it allows you to customize and build your character more or less the way you want to where it will tailor and dovetail into these things. Now, how does it actually compare one for one? Cyberpunk 2020 was really good because it had its wound levels and things, whereas Cities Without Number uses hit points again. The main difference is, I suppose, that even though Cities Without Number uses hit points, the damage that's dealt by most weaponry and the low level of hit points on all the characters keeps everything pretty much lethal. It'll keep you honest. It also means armor is very important. Is it better than Cyberpunk Red? Yes, because Cyberpunk Red made a huge mistake in that they gave everything lots and lots of hit points, so everything became a damage sponge. So it doesn't matter how much damage you throw at stuff.
That's right. You were mentioning it was you and Grim were saying how it was pretty spongy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and it's the point where the characters have more hit points than the cars.
Now, what with did you get a chance to look at the at the leveling up, and if so, like what sort of like health increase are we looking at, if any at all?
Okay, let me punch up my version so we can kind of go through it as we talk, so people kind of have some understanding what I'm talking about. Of course, I have the.
I suppose I could have also done this, but I figured I'd let you gab.
Sure thing. And hello, Ryan Heffelfinger. It's good to see you. Stephen Ransom, you said you thought you may have been talking about the tabletop system, Edges of Hexabon being limited to noobs, but you gain awareness of more edges at higher levels. No. But anyway, I think I've heard of that. Okay, so Cities Without Number, you get a D6 every level. This is, of course, modified by your con. And that's all you get. I mean, straight up. Since everybody plays an operator, everybody's basically playing the same thing. Also, notice the way the attribute scores work. You're pretty insignificant unless you have a 14, and you only get a +2 modifier if you hit an 18. That's
one noticeable change from like your traditional like sort of OSR style games where your 13 isn't a +1. That would throw me off a little bit, but then again, I'm also coming from sort of the 3.5 era, so this is also a change for me.
But the swing back the other direction is kind of interesting too, because now your lowest attribute that you can take and still get a 0 modifier is 8. So that's not so bad. And during gameplay, during character creation, and of course, adding in cybernetics and stuff, you can buff up your attribute scores with either artificially jumping them up with cybernetics or, you don't really. It does have rules for integrating magic items, but let's just say you were playing it vanilla and you didn't use magic items. That would be your main way. You can pick it up through foci. You can pick it up through edges. This thing does have a skill checklist, which is pretty cool. All skills are based on a 2d6 plus stat system. Which, I mean, stat modifier, I should say.
It's a good bit of uniformity.
Your backgrounds are pretty important because these are going to determine what free skill you start with. And every character has a choice. You can either choose to take 2 things on either growth or learning, or both. And you get to choose, or you get to roll 3, but you don't get the choice.
I remember that doing that in Stars Without Number. This is pretty standard affair. He's kind of pasted this basic bit of rules set into this.
Right. And I like it, to be quite honest. And of course, all my players went for the roll 3. So they ended up getting slightly better stats because this is a 3d6 and convert any stat to a 14. So it's not so bad. But he also does have rules for people who are just abysmal characters to start with. They actually get a Benny out of it too.
I think sometimes when I'm playing just the completely miserable, all your stats suck. If we're like just a sort of a one-off, like this is basically going to be the character that exists to be a meat shield.
Well, see, that's the thing. If your character is a meat shield, basically it's like if your character has modifiers that all equal -1 or that all total up to a total of a -1. In other words, everything that you have is either a 0 or a -1. Then you get an extra edge. That's your benefit. And I can't discount how powerful the edges are. We'll get to those in a second. But the other thing you do is you're going to generate contacts, which also helps you kind of get invested in the game because this gives your GM hooks for how to bring your character in. I went ahead and told my players, I said, you know what? Don't generate contacts to begin with. Instead, what we can do is we can generate them as we need them.
Okay, I like that. That we always have that sort of ace in your back pocket. You can kind of pull out when you need it.
Mm-hmm. And you have 2 degrees of contacts. You have acquaintances and you have friends.
Is there any significant difference there for what they would each represent?
Yeah. Well, first off, you give them a name, but acquaintances will know you and will work with you reliably, and friends can be expected to go the extra mile for you. You start play either knowing 2 acquaintances or 1 friend.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that way. And he's got quite a few tables for this, but here's where the edges start. This is what gets cool. And here's the underdog rule. Yeah, PCs whose total attribute modifiers are negative get a bonus edge. And the edges are basically how you build your character. They can be anything from like focused, which gives you an extra focus pick. And you can get this edge more than once. And I'll show you what a focus pick is. You could get like Prodigy. One of my guys took Prodigy. It lets you pick an attribute other than con, and its score immediately becomes 18 with a +3 modifier instead of a +2. There is, I think I took Voice of the People for my character. You're a rocker, graffiti artist, poet, demagogue, or rebel rouser. You get 2 levels of the pop idol focus and an additional friend contact related to your art.
That's so unlike you. I couldn't see you taking that at all.
I know. Yeah, it's hard to be Johnny Silverhand if you can't do that, right?
Right.
And I did note too that if you play your cards right with the way you do your edges, you could end up playing like David Alvarez to begin with. Yeah. But let's see, like Wired. Yeah, you begin to play with up to $200,000 worth of new or secondhand cyber. You could take this edge later, but it's not as good as if you take it at first level. So right away you can get your character all beefed out. You take Hard to Kill, which is instead of rolling 1d6 per level for hit points, you roll 1d6 +2. Never doubt what that +2 will give you, because that's in addition to if you have a con bonus. And it does buff your trauma target to +1, which turns it from a 6 to a 7. Now, I'm going to tell you what a trauma target is good for. This system does not have critical hits. Instead, every time you shoot and you stab or whatever and hit somebody, not only are you doing your regular damage, but you're also going to roll a trauma dice. And you're going to compare it to the target's trauma value. If your dice is higher with all of its adds than their trauma value, you get the additional trauma damage listed. And like one character's got a heavy pistol. It normally does a D8 damage, but it has a trauma rating of 1d6. So if he rolls like a 6 and the target has like a 5 or a 6 for its trauma rating, that gun does ×3 damage when it hits. So it's significant.
Oh.
Yeah. Trauma is pretty cool. Like I said, that is his way of doing critical hits. Rather than, the old, I rolled a 20. Now, I guess if you wanted to make those 20s count for something, you could add that in addition to a trauma dice. I don't recommend it because what works for your characters will work against your characters as well. And if I have a lot of bad guys that are shooting, and they're more likely they're going to get that magical combination of, not only did I blow through your trauma target, but I got a crit.
Look, anything the players want, the GM gets as well in their toolbox.
Mm-hmm. And that could be devastating. But yeah, those are some of the edges that you can pick up. Then here are the foe side. This is really what you use to define your character. For one thing, you could get like Ace Driver. If you want to be like a drive guy, you can be an arms master, or an assassin, or an authority, or an all-natural. These are kind of cool because this person doesn't use, they're incompatible with cyber. So they can't accept implants except for minor cosmetic ones with an unmodified system strain cost of 0. Which, every time you implant a cyber or a cybernetic piece, you have a system strain. Like, let's say your system strain is equal to your con. So let's say you have an 11 con. That means you have 11 system strain. That means basically you have 11 points worth of cybernetics you can install before your body starts to take on a lot of cyber psychosis and things. It's not very much, but
So what kind of points are some of these cybernetics costing you for the cyber psychosis points?
well, like I'll get to the cyber psychosis here in a little bit. But this is just kind of going
feels
through.
Like it's sort of a natural follow-up question when we're talking about like, well, you'd only have so much available,
right? All right. Well, let me find the page that it's on.
And I know I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit, but this is kind of how the natural flow of this goes.
So let's see. Okay, so we have cyberware. It's going to be on 6274. Alienation is 226. That's where it is. And yes, if you get the deluxe edition, and I totally recommend it, it does give you rules for incorporating magic and other stuff from other Cine Nomine games in. Also adds like cyber product line quirks. These are fun.
Because if Cyberpunk isn't enough for you, you too can also play Shadowrun while you're playing your Cyberpunk.
Well, okay. I mean, just kind of to tangent here. Let's say you want to establish a cyber brand, like Arasaka or Militech or, whatever, or Kang Tao, right? Then all their cyberware, you can rule, like it's all fashionable. So all Arasaka cyberware is fashionable, which allows you a once per day +1 bonus on reaction from someone who might be impressed because they see that, ooh, you're wearing the latest Arasaka implant. Right? And cyberware comes in 3 levels of noticeability. There's medical grade, which is you can't tell. There's I think the other one is notice, which means basically you have to roll a check to see whether or not you notice somebody's got that cyberware on. And then there's sight, which means your cyberware is so obvious that anybody can see your cyberware on site and know exactly what you got on you.
I think this is really neat. This is a neat addition to have because there's a lot more you could do with this potentially because you can just kind of keep building on this and then to have this be 12 by 12, you have a combination of like about 144 different combinations that you could have just of positive and negatives to 7 different corporations.
Yeah. And you could establish certain things like, okay, in Cyberpunk 2077, we find out that a certain style of mantis blades had problems with people's frontal cortex and caused them to go cyber psychotic, right? Let's say you wanted to simulate that and, somebody gets a built-in weapon from a particular corporation that you want to establish. Well, you could go down to the negative qualities and put those in too. Another thing that you can do with the positive and negative stuff is if you want to price up your cybernetic stuff, like let's say like, okay, it's, this model of, like Arasaka Cybertech is better than this model of Kang Tao Cybertech, right? Then you could push up more positive qualities onto it, but increase the price, by, let's say like 25% per each positive increase, which can get expensive after a while. Or actually, in this case, they say that if you decide to make a system with more positive qualities than negative, the price is increased by 100% for each positive trait in excess of the negatives. So you can establish varying qualities of cybernetics, even if they all do the same stuff. Which I like that immensely. It also kind of gives you your characters kind of like a goal. Like, if they see, some big badass boss dude who he's sporting like some kind of super duper chrome, they can, your guys can make a notice check and realize like, oh wow, he's got like this super cutting edge, Arasaka tech that's got like, 2 or 3 positive product qualities. I mean, boy, we'd really like to knock this guy out and jack his cyberware from him so we can install it or earn up enough money to get it. The deluxe rules also have the variant humanity rules, but I'll get into that in a second. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just thinking about I was going to ask what would I assume you ran this?
Mm-hmm. I did.
How does this compare to you to Kevin's other prominent books?
Okay.
I know it's the obvious question of I'm asking you to how are different genres, but how does this compare to say Stars Without Number or Godbound or Scarlet Heroes? Just in terms, and not even in terms of genre, but in terms of as a game, as a standalone product.
Okay. As a standalone product, it does stand alone. You don't need the other stuff. I do recommend getting all the Without Number stuff just because it integrates with itself really well and with each other. There is something to be said for Cities Without Number that you can't say about the other two games. With Worlds Without Number, since it is kind of a fantasy setting, you really can sandbox it pretty hardcore. It's you can just make up stuff where, if somebody wanders into a hex and just roll up all the crap that's in a hex, right? Without too much difficulty.
Right.
Cities Without Number is different because if your character is in a street on a neighborhood and he gets attacked and he decides that he's going to take cover inside of a building, right? Now all of a sudden there's a new layer of complexity because the GM needs to know what kind of building, how many stories is it, but he also needs to know what networks are accessible. Because this being 80s cyberpunk style stuff, there's no net. Everything is a hardwired link. So let's say if you had a massive supercomputer that you wanted your cyberpunks to go break into, it's not going to be linked up to, say, the camera systems or the outside systems. The only way to get to it is going to be to have to penetrate the building from the outside and get to it and link directly on a hard line to that computer.
And I suppose that does lend to a narrative. It's a benefit from a narrative standpoint to be able to kind of force them to have to go to the place to do the hacking, to get into the computer. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you just pull up a phone and say, "Well, guys, we already hacked it when we didn't have to wipe off our Cheeto fingers to go outside." I'm sorry about your phone, by the way.
Yeah, and the other part of that too is it's if there's a system that controls the cameras, it's not necessarily also going to be linked to the fire extinguisher, and it's not also always going to be linked to the door locks and all that. Systems are going to be separated. And the other part of it is part of the hacking rules includes nodes, which is kind of every little computer and everything like that is its own node that links into something bigger. So just breaking into a building a la Tron and jumping onto someone's computer and then, getting linked onto the master control program is kind of it's less likely to happen. Or if it does.
So you can't just go to the secretary at the front office's at the entrance's computer and do all the hacking from there. You have to actually get up a few floors to get closer to the nodes you actually need.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay.
And that adds another layer of complexity to it because let's say your cyberpunks are infiltrating a 52-story building, right? And the thing that they want is on floor 8. Well, they're going to have to cross those other floors to get to it by one means or another, or they may have to be retreating up or down the building. So they're going to constantly be asking you, okay, well, is there a node here I can hack? If there's cameras, what is available for me to mess with? So I would say it would be to your benefit to do a little bit of planning ahead of time when you build your missions. Unless you're just really, really, really knowledgeable of building layouts, and you can just recall them on the fly. Because again, like I said, things can get complicated depending on what your PCs end up doing. Like, if they're getting shot at on the street and they take cover in a laundromat or something, it's like, okay, well, what systems does this laundromat have that we can hack and use to hurt the bad guys?
At last, all my years of studying of architecture can actually be put to good use.
Mm-hmm. Seriously.
So, another question to ask here.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a Kevin Crawford book, and he does a lot of, he's pretty well regarded for a lot of the world creation rules in his book. Does this? I haven't had a chance to look through the book a ton. Does he have a whole lot of similar sort of world creation rules? For,
Dude,
corporations and
yeah,
do tell.
Yeah, he does. So he's already got like a little city that you can use kind of like as your seed. But what he actually does is he recommends that you either create a city from the ground up or take an existing city and just overlay your stuff on it and figure out what kind of a dystopia you're going to do, and how your corporations, which are also generated randomly, are going to work. This is just for his personal stuff here, and he's got some NPC stuff. Let me find out where our stuff is. Yeah, we have enemies. Go back to our beginning here. This is a little bit easier when you're flipping through it. Yeah, everything here in the city, that's the city that he's built ahead of time that you can use. But if you're doing your own thing, see it here, it has building your own districts, creating your dystopia, the principles of creation, all the levels. Everything is built, from world, from city, from district, what themes you're going to use, when, your superpowers, all the stuff that you're going to need to figure it out, what kind of problems your world is going to have. And then the actual city itself, it's like either, choose one that you know well, choose one that no one knows well, or create a new fictional city. I suppose if you lived in a big city here in the United States, like let's say you lived in Detroit, the cool thing is to actually go out and find an actual paper city map of Detroit and then overlay all of this onto it. Like this, steal a real city's map. I
could do you one better. I could go get some actual photography of Detroit
from your window, maybe. But yeah, you build up your districts, and my advice is to start everybody out like in one district and just build it one district at a time. Like let's say everybody starts off like in the Kabuki district. Okay, we'll set most of your starting missions in the Kabuki district, and then as your cyberpunks get more and more powerful, they can branch out and go into other districts, like Watson or whatever.
It'll be like the French Canadian district of New Detroit.
Yeah. And of course it says, pick the major corps. You build your starting district, your starting adventures, what problems your city has, and then it breaks down into your actual districts themselves, what trait each district has, what the government there is like, what the local gangs are like, what the major local corps are, the local fixers. The fixers are important because that's who your PCs are going to talk to get missions. Sketching a district map, picking a name, define the traits. Is your district infested by cyber beasts and things? Well, that's in there. Yeah. Is a corrupt kingpin run your district? Is it undergoing gang warfare or gentrification? Is there extreme violence going on there? What kind? Is it an industrial wasteland? That would definitely be parts of Detroit. But it's just chock full of good stuff. And then, of course, it has a whole section on creating different megacorps. And it, you can see what the focus of the corp is and what the corp style is, what their strengths are, what events have been going on, their goals, and the name elements. And then, of course, creating gangs, just the really fun part. You know, what's their main source of income? What's the style? You know, do you want, like a prostitution ring of gang that are bestial? That's kind of gross.
They make lewd VR models.
They're cyber furries.
The cyber furries.
Yes, cyber furries. You can see what their
You don't
strengths are.
you don't want to get them yiffed off at you.
Yes. And then they have their name elements, their gang elements. It's so much stuff you can mess with. And then, of course, there's actually creating your NPCs. And it's all rolled out. You know, my advice for anybody who's playing this is you can wing it if you are fast on your feet and you can think quickly and you can just kind of make up stuff and go with the flow and your players are cool with that. And maybe don't ask a whole lot of questions. But if you want a more thorough experience, I do recommend at least taking a night out before the game starts to just plan your city out a little bit. Get some maps of some of your buildings and some of your interiors, especially because the first thing it tells you about interiors is, circle in red every single computer or terminal or anything else that's in a building. He says, now that's your network. That's everything that's connected to that network. That's what your PCs are going to be looking to hack into when they try to hack stuff. And we do have all this advice for running missions and creating schemes. The cool thing about this is this game emphasizes schemes over just individual missions. And this is kind of a holdover from Cyberpunk 2077. Because in the Cyberpunk 2077 game, the video game, if you're really careful and you look at each little individual mission, they're linked in one way to another mission somewhere else. It's like everything in the city is kind of linked together. And that's kind of how this is made by scheme. Did I lose you?
No, you're good. I was just...
Yeah. But yeah, you can figure out what your overall scheme goals are. You have milestones for all the schemes. You have NPC operators that can be working against you, and how they operate, and which different combatant is what kind. You could actually run using this a game of Metal Gear Solid pretty well, by the way. It wouldn't be too terribly out of the realm of possibility to do it.
I like the way you're thinking.
Yeah. This is a really good book. This is a really special book. It is more specialized than Stars Without Number. And it's more specialized towards more modern to dystopian futuristic stuff. With a little bit of tweaking, you can kind of shift between things and really make it work for you a lot of different ways. Mm-hmm. Real quick, something to show off is the guns.
The boom zooms.
The boom sticks. Okay, so let's see. Page 61 is where the pharmaceuticals are. Those are fun, by the way.
Yep.
Okay.
You buy some death sticks.
Yes, you have death sticks. Okay, so obviously the first thing your players are going to want to do is they're going to take one look at the equipment thing and they're going to go, oh, I want the biggest boomstick we got on here. So they're either going to pick up, the sniper rifle or the automatic rifle. They might pick up the combat shotguns or the combat rifles because they do lots and lots of boom damage. But every weapon has got its regular damage, and sometimes they have these little asterisks and things which tells you that they can do burst fires and stuff, which let them fire 3-round bursts to get a +2 to hit and damage, which is cool. And you got automatic rifles, which can do suppressing fire, which is nasty. And there's a section on what firing to suppress do. Basically, you have a 90-degree cone, and you throw so much lead out that anything in it can possibly get hit. and everything in it can also get hit with trauma. So it's nasty. But like, let's say like your guy starts off with like a regular old heavy pistol. It's a D8 damage. The ranges are in meters, and they are minimum and maximum. So everything beyond that first number, 10. So everything beyond 10 meters is going to be an additional -2 to hit. Up to a maximum range of 100 meters. Make sense?
It does.
It tells you how many rounds are in the magazine. It tells you what attribute you use to get pluses for it. It gives you the encumbrance value. Encumbrance is a new way of doing their weight and everything like that. It's pretty neat. I like the way it's handled. I think a lot of things are moving more to bulk and encumbrance systems over just regular weight. And I think a lot of that is because as modern day humans, we've kind of developed systems for carrying things like load bearing equipment and all that help you distribute weight more evenly on your body rather than just trying to lug it all in a sack. So things like bulk and encumbrance become more important. Here is the trauma dice. So you'll roll this every time you roll damage, and every time you exceed your target's trauma, you get to add the rating, which is ×3. So like, yeah, it would be ×3 times 1d8 damage if you hit something traumatically with your heavy pistol. But where it gets cool is on the next page with the melee weapons.
Let's say with being the low health, obviously you don't want to get into combat too much, just because that 1d6 is probably going to take you out from a well rolled or unluckily rolled dice.
Yeah. At first level, you are pretty much a cheese sandwich. But there are some rules to help you out with that. Like, let's see, like here, okay, so we have an advanced sword right here, right? Does a d10 damage, has no range, obviously. And you'll notice it has something called the shock value. What that is if you are hitting a target that is below AC 15, in this case, you will do 3 extra points of damage to it every time you hit it with that sword. And like the gun weapons, it also has a trauma dice. So melee weapons can kill you dead very quickly. Plus they get your strength bonus behind the damage. So here is your recourse right here. You got your low hit points. Here's how he does armor. And I love this. This I want to incorporate into everything, especially since now he has rules for archaic armor and how this will work. But let's say your character has reinforced clothing for their armor. Every armor has 2 values. You have a ranged AC and a melee AC. Pretty simple, right? Anytime you get into close combat with something, you're going to use your melee AC. Anytime you get shot at, you're using your ranged AC. But also they have damage soak. These are basically extra buffer hit points. Let's say you're wearing reinforced clothing and you get shot and you take 6 damage. You will take 2 points off your first hit because your armor will soak 2 points of that damage up. And once those hit points are gone, they're gone until the combat is over with, in which case the soak damage comes back. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It also tells you how subtle or obvious every piece of armor is. So, like if you're walking around in a plated long coat, everybody's going to know, yeah, he's wearing some pretty heavy duty armor. But I like this immensely. And two of our characters started with ordinary clothing, got taken down very quickly. Our other guy was wearing a reinforced clothing, I think. No, he was wearing armor clothing. That 5 damage soak saved him several times. in multiple combats. Just because he could take the hits, nobody else could.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great idea. I like this, especially that sort of per combat health to it.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, in the deluxe version, he's already got all of the archaic armor and stuff like that mapped out. So, yeah, if you wanted to pick up a war axe from another game or something like that he does, it's already got its trauma dice and its shock values already put in.
I'll be sure to use this when I plan out the inevitable museum heist. Does he have any similar? Are there any similar mods to like the cyberware for weapons and armor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. You can custom build your weapons to where they do more damage or they hit better or whatever. It's your weapons can be made very boutique. All it takes is money. This is the Graced. This is the only magic using class in the game.
Okay.
Because it does give you a magic user centered foci for this. It also has a summoner and spirit powers if you want to go into, let's say, Shadowrun territory.
What can I say? I kind of like that. I like the idea of having sort of urban cybernetic, the high tech and a little bit of the magic kind of all mixed in together. I know some people aren't as fond of the idea of putting the two together, but what can I say? The idea of putting the two together, that just kind of butt heads so much.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds pretty appealing.
Yeah, he's got some cheap cyber that you can always use if you need to use something quickly to add on to someone. But his actual number of pages for cyberware itself is like he's got like almost 12 pages of cyberware. There's a lot. He also has Chrome syndromes. If you do start getting cyber psychosis, your character can undergo problems like feeling savage or exultant or secretive, and then have problems with this, which is what builds up what's called alienation for the more of it that you get. Here is the only variant humans he has, which are like the Eloi, the Skyborn, the Morlocks, and the Ogres. And these are all genetic variants of humanity. I added to this list by telling the characters, it's like, okay, because Mike Pondsmith had already written, elves and dragon men and all this other stuff into one of his Chromebooks. I said the same thing can go for this game. So, like, if you see somebody who looks like an elf or an orc or a goblin or something like that, it's actually not a real race. It's a person who's been cybernetically and cosmetically enhanced to look like one. So, I just hand them that foci in the same way that I would any other variant human. It works very, very well. I think they did end up picking an Eloi. But yeah, look right here. Here are primitive armors or old style armors. You want to know what a male hauberk counts as for ranged and melee AC? You want to know how much damage it can soak? How much encumbrance it is? Or how much trauma target mod it's going to give you? Is it obvious how much it's going to cost you? There you go. And there are other things in here from Stars Without Number, like storm armor and assault suits. So you can mix and match a little bit. If you want to have some kind of super duper badass corporate super guard or something like that, throw a field emitter panoply on them. It's a 20 AC with a 20, it's a 20 both ways. It soaks 15 points of damage. It adds 4 points of trauma target mod.
I'll be looking forward to see how this. I think probably the two of the most prominently get put together is going to be Cities and Stars Without Number. I think these two are basically made, or well, they're kind of are made to be put together. So I'm looking forward to seeing how people decide to start combining the cybernetics with the psychics, and we'll eventually get to see more of these games coming together where we get and see that more of that sort of cross system play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think the cross system play will be really good, and I'm really surprised that Stars Without Number didn't have something like this already. But I am glad that we have it now. And I do want to draw everybody's attention to one particular foci. This is something you could pick up at first level as part of your foci. And my character picked this up. Unique gift. Yeah. Oh. Unique gift, which is your PC has a unique piece of cyberware, an exceptional human ability, or some experimental genetic modification. Okay. Unique piece of cyberware. David Alvarez and his Sandevistan. There you go. Level 1. Now, what my character took was not that. It says here, as a general rule, this ability should be better than a piece of gear the PC could buy. The player is spending a very limited resource when they make this focus pick, so what they get should be good enough that they can't just duplicate it with a fat bank account. With that in mind, I went over to the cyber tables and I looked. I said, okay, well, what cybernetics are so far out of reach for our characters that you normally couldn't get it? And I ended up picking this one. The full body conversion costs $6 million. That is an astronomical amount of money in a cyber campaign. Your character would have to save up for many levels to get this. It's normally outside of what characters will probably have enough money to buy, especially at first level or second level. So I said, okay, I want to go the Motoko Kusanagi route. So I took unique gift as my foci. I picked up full body conversion. It's normally so far outside of somebody's amount of money that they can take. This is probably the only way you could get it. I do also want to add that we are using the variant rule in here, which you don't get the regular XP. Instead, you get paid XP. In other words, whatever money that you make from your jobs is how you gain your XP. So after you earn a certain amount of money, you get a level.
Okay, so it's a little bit. It's taking a page out of the BX.
Mm-hmm. And I asked the players at the beginning. I said, "Do you want me to use just regular XP, or do you want to use the money?" They said, "Well, let's try the money." And using everything that they gave me in the book to, for how much a payout should be per mission, including loot bonuses and everything, it still ended up taking them to about 10,000. So for their first mission, they got about 10,000 each. Okay, I mean, it's because what it is like they have one total payout and then everybody splits it. So they got like 30,000. Everybody split it, and they got 10,000 apiece, which took them all the way up here. Which if they get 5,000 more, they'll be level 3. Which that's not too unreasonable rate of progress for characters. Because
was that based on a? So, okay, I was asked, was that based on a suggested payout, or were you just kind of using a little bit of that, say, cyberpunk assumptions?
No. See, because I just used the base payout. I said, okay, the client. Let's see, what did I use? Client is an altruistic organization, I think. Client is genuinely desperate because it was somebody who is in need. We upped the mod on it, got the base payout, and then additional loot, stuff that they found on the job, cred sticks, data cards, everything that could be sold and hawked off really quick, ended up being at another plus 100% extra loot. So that it totaled up to 30,000 base payout. And so between 3 people, they got 10,000 apiece. They managed to level all the way up to almost a little over halfway to third, which that's not unreasonable, I think.
You live fast, die hard. in the world of Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm. And if I'd have gone slow, they still would have hit level 2. They just would have been a little bit lower in level 3. And just like in regular D&D and stuff, it hits a wall at 4th because it goes like from 15,000 to 50,000. And then it just gets bigger and bigger. I mean, to get to 10th level, it's going to cost you 4 million. And the base payout starting at 10th level is only 250,000. So guess what? You're going to have to work really, really hard to get that.
You're going to be paying that off a while.
Mm-hmm. The other thing, too, is it's also going to want to push your characters to want to negotiate a better deal. They're not necessarily going to want to do altruistic things, like, what's it pay? Nothing? Well, then it's worth no XP to me. So why do I want to do this?
25% of nothing is still nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sounds like this has been a successful game.
Yeah. Now we didn't use the hacking rules yet. I'm planning on implementing them in the next game so we can see how they work. Kind of what I'm doing is every adventure, I plan on pushing a certain mechanic out to see how the characters work with it. So like the next one will be hacking. The third one will be all the vehicle chase and vehicle combat rules.
Would that be where you would probably consider the drone stuff as well?
Yeah. Yeah, nobody's really shown an interest in drones yet, but, give them a little bit of time.
Well, I think it sounds like you'd have to go and show off why they should be interested in drones.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go ahead and make sure that you have some sort of like hacker drone pilot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just create a scenario for them to have to interact with it and worry about it and show them like, yeah, this is why you probably want this.
And then you can always, dangle in front of them the possibility of getting their own drone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, that way the party can get its own little pet drone. They can call Droney and give it a red racing stripe so it goes faster.
Red ones go faster. All right, so we got any questions from the chat about this, or let's see. Yeah, there's no crit and fumble rules in this. The trauma damage takes place of crits.
So usually we had where was this? Aaron the Relentless said he had fully randomly rolled a character a few days back. A talker and a minor thief. Totally awesome.
Mm-hmm. Started with thugs too, like some minor guards. Hey, George, haven't seen you in a long time, buddy. Where you been? Patty, it's good to see you, buddy. And Snow Dub. Okay, we got to do a Snow Dub here. Hold on.
Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
All right.
So yes. I figured, why don't we go a little bit longer tonight, just because it's kind of the first one. Let's get into the groove of this.
Sure, let's do this.
So yeah, this is a RPG that's kind of come across my radar, and I think we were jokingly talking about like, let me put this on Notify, which is the complete waifu handbook from it was the Loading Crew, which has done a bunch of RPG Let's Plays on YouTube. And so the idea started as a bit of a shit post where, hey, I'm just gonna do like a Valentine's Day RPG book about making waifus. And yes, we can have goblin girls.
Goblin girls.
But also because we gotta have that extra little bit here.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let me roll this up. And like I've heard a couple of other YouTubers have gone ahead and played this, so we shouldn't have an issue with any copyright claims. So fingers crossed.
Yes.
That's already think you're set. Just wait, there's something else you don't have yet.
Goblin waifu.
Waifu that's always by your side.
And a water sword.
And a water sword.
A brand new handbook, the complete waifu guide for RPG champs or newbies. So now take a look inside a funny new way for you to play and have a good time.
This will go well with the kinks and cantrips.
Yes, it would. Can you imagine what your what your 5e game is going to look like with this and Kinks and Cantrips? Oh, I mean, it's like all I can say is I want to buy copies of all this stuff and send it to Tabletop List just to make Grim just lose his mind.
Just the eternal facepalm.
Yes.
T-shirt, what have you done to me?
Mm-hmm.
My specialty exists in adaptation as well as capturing the soul and feel of one thing and converting it into another. The Complete Waifu Handbook is a fun and humorous book that will allow you to turn your character from a standard cookie-cutter fantasy adventurer into the highest title a weeb can grant, the title of waifu.
Waifu!
No, just no.
But, T-shirt, don't you want to see what the classes are? And the races and classes?
Okay, just for you.
Come with me to Monkey Land.
I don't think there's any monkeys.
There could be in this, though. Let's come with me to Monkey Land. Yes. Oh my gosh. Night Gap.
Let's see. So of course we have our dragon race.
Yes.
Gotta have your dragon girl with the big tail.
Oh, of course. And the horns.
And the horns. Large and impossible. Colossal scaleless worm, pale with patches of white fur. Some that purposely allow themselves to have extra appendages such as wings, tails, or claws, simply in order to help themselves stay sane and keep their identity. And let's Snortopoopas, you can have a waifu.
Yes, let's give Snortopoopas a waifu.
Yeah, we'll design one from this. So the 7 new races are gonna. So this is gonna be for both Pathfinder First Edition and Second Edition, and 5e. So this is gonna
Nekomata.
Yep.
And Uray. Ooh.
We'll have our two-tailed catfolk, nymphs that are the dryads, the naiads, nereids. We got to have the Okami.
Oh yeah,
powerful wolfkins, sand elves.
Did they have sand in their vagina? I hope not. I hate sand. It gets everywhere.
So we get some Japanese ghosts, such as potentially like Yuki Onna.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the most important thing out of a waifu book
is Fox
Girls.
Yes. Well, how much is all this going to cost me, Ironcaster? Notice senpai.
For just $10, you can help the Kickstarter out.
Oh. But you get a roll for waifu MP3.
Yeah, you get the song. For $25, you could, of course, get the PDF for this. And the MP3.
Yeah.
For $45, you can get the soft cover. Let's see. This doesn't look to be a print-on-demand job, so this will be a little bit better than just getting a drive-through RPG code.
Yeah. And speaking of which, they have not shipped my Cities Without Number from Drive-Thru RPG yet, but I'm looking forward to getting it and comparing it to the one I got from the Kickstarter.
So I did notice that I thought the paper quality was better from the Cities Without Number.
Yes, it is.
With the traditional print-on-demand jobs.
Yes. Yeah, right away.
I know you. I know a soft cover book isn't enough.
No.
You don't want it soft.
No.
You got it hard.
Hard.
For $65, you can get a hardcover copy of this, and the digital copy, and the MP3. But if you've noticed, there's still a ways to go. There are rewards that we were teased in the song.
Oh no. Oh yeah, the pillow. Both copies plus digital.
So if you want 2 copies, and if you want to keep the nice hardcover copy for yourself behind the GM screen, and then you want to have the community copy you pass around so they can let all the other players get crunchy with on the waifu pages.
Oh no. Ew.
What? From Cheeto Fingers, obviously.
Oh.
What did you think I was saying?
Fat.
But you know what? Lifting all these books is gonna be a hard job. You might need some place to rest. In fact, you might need a nice pillow. So for $135, you can get a little small waifu pillow.
Oh no.
A waifu pillow plush.
Can you imagine somebody bringing that to the game?
You know, it'd be like Munchkin, where you get a +1 for bringing your waifu.
Yeah. 2-sided pillow plush.
But you don't want to just a short stack pillow waifu. No, you want a big tall girl.
A Dakimura. Jesus.
$200, and you get the 2-sided pillow.
Oh.
And then for $500, you get all of that, and you could get to design a recipe in the book. You get the point. From here on out, it's just a matter of just the extra little things, like the retail store for $800.
Build a waifu,
and you get 10 copies of everything, including the pillows. You can make a harem in your store.
A what?
Look, I'm just saying, you have a bunch of empty chairs at the tables. So while you're sitting there sadly playing this by yourself, you can have all the chairs filled up with the body pillows.
Oh yeah, there you go. What a great idea.
And then, of course, for $2,500, you can build a waifu.
Design a waifu for Chapter 5 and the potential adventure module path in Volume 2. You know, if I had that kind of money laying around, I would totally do it. I'd throw Nova in there. That'd be funny.
Then, of course, all the early bird copies are gone. But yeah, still, this is just kind of a funny little book. I was kind of getting some attention today. This also has a bunch of subclasses, such as the monk has the way of the housewife.
Oh, God.
The paladin has the oath of matrimony. A paladin who is empowered by their devotion to their marriage grants buffs to the party. If their partner is in the party, they gain greater buffs.
Jeez. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and then of course there's the waifu prestige class for Pathfinder. If 5 years in your bag.
Probably second. Yeah. No. Oh. Wait a minute. This is racial feats for Pathfinder First Edition and mythical racial feats for Pathfinder First Edition. Whoa, hold the phone. And races for all systems. Oh, wait a minute. This may not be as dumb as I thought. If it still allows me to do Pathfinder First Edition shit.
That's one of the things. That's one of the things I did appreciate. Kind of looking at this is that they didn't just abandon First Edition.
Yeah, because we still play First Edition at my table. So, dude.
So we have some new backgrounds for 5e and Pathfinder, some new traits for First Edition Pathfinder, and a new general feat for 5e. And yes, Aaron is right in the chat. It uses the word race.
Yes, it is. Uses the word race. Is the pillow machine washable? I hope so. I mean, because some of these guys are going to get it stained.
Ugh.
Yeah, just don't shine a black light on it.
No. For all the Cheeto fingers. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Of
cooking and
course,
camping
also-
rules are cool.
Mhm.
This is becoming more and more of a popular thing, and I blame campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill for all of this blowing up. There is another game that is all about hunting down monsters, cooking and eating them. It's called Wilder Feast, which you can download the quick start for that over on Drive-Thru RPG. But yeah, this camping and cooking and eating stuff and getting buffs off of it, that's starting to become a trend that's coming over from Japan.
I wouldn't be surprised to see if this becomes a much bigger thing that we see sort of a lot of more mainstream games picking up on. Like you said, if this is starting to really pick up all over, like it's a place where I could unironically see like working in a little like actual like cookbook of recipes as well.
Why not?
So I think yeah, because I tell you what, like I was talking with my brother the other day, and he's wanting to sit down and play some D&D, and he's like talking about like, oh, I want to like sit down, and because he's a cook, he wants to actually make some stuff to be thematically appropriate for a game night.
Mhm.
So it's not perfect.
Yeah, I did that once too. Wow. This may not be as... I mean, okay, I'm not really in love with the artwork, although it fits the style. It fits the theme, I guess, but information-wise, it looks like it's actually got quite a bit to offer for 60... And does it say how many pages are in the book? I guess it probably doesn't, because they don't have it made yet.
Right. I think that's part of that. They're also still like kind of expanding on it. Like I know at least 129.
Mm-hmm. Taraska la Kaiju?
The Tarask. The Tarask, the spawn of destructive beasts, and creatures like kaiju are known as civilization destroyers. This dish will begin the recovery process as it heals those same societies. This massive mountain of meat and bone can feed a single town for nearly a month if prepared properly.
This doesn't... when they put stuff like this in here, this doesn't seem as dumb as I thought at first. Because think about it. Afterward, now your characters can do something with the monsters that they kill. They could sell off the meat or prepare feasts and stuff for their, This is not as dumb as I might have expected at first. I mean, just, this could actually be something.
But of course, what would a waifu handbook be without waifus to pick from?
Oh yeah.
So we have to have a chapter dedicated to fully statted out waifus. You don't have to go through the process of like designing your OC that you can like, or that anime character that you want to like try and stat out and work into a game. No, you just pick them up and they're ready to go. Available for all what appears to be all three systems too. So we'll have the 5e, we'll have both editions of the Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. Are you picking on me, the guy who wrote the Sexbox book, changing his mind? I'm not changing my mind. I mean, think about it. You could pick a Sexbox waifu too. Hell, maybe I'll build a waifu Sexbot book. Okay, just calm down there, sir. Giving me ideas.
Let's see. A couple of the examples in here include Bright Luster, the nymph circle of the Consortium Druid, a nymph from an alternative doomed future who traveled to the past to defeat those that slew the last divine dragon. Romance Possible.
Romance Possible. That is like the new catchphrase in all the JRPGs and RPGs.
Okutsuna, a half-orc oath of matrimony paladin, battle-maid and bride of Lysander, loves cooking, maidcraft, and fashion. Romance unlikely.
But that's not a no.
Look, if you want to make the attempt at snoo, that's on you.
I mean, you have to throw it down a challenge, I'm sure. But
you know what? I think this is a book we need to show Guard Bro.
We need to show this to Grim.
I think both is a good idea.
Yeah, I think both is a good idea. Maybe. I would feel wrong doing this one on Week in Geek, but
we'll send the link around just to like you guys need to check this out.
Yeah.
A couple of stretch. Oh yeah, and we also have stretch goals.
Ooh, nice. Ooh, the Lamia race is unlocked now.
Let's see. I think
Much
this
requested.
is like $85,000 right now.
Jesus. The
So
Dakimura.
Love a new one. Love a
A
new
new
sub
sub-race?
race.
Ooh, Mythic Waifu Path.
New artwork.
New Dakimura with some waifu equipment.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's gonna be a mythic frying pan.
Yes, there will be.
Waifu spells. Are we sure this isn't out of the sex cantrips book?
I mean,
It's not
it
hope
has
we're not
new
crossing
familiars, you know. But you know,
cooking.
as funny as it sounds, I actually kind of like stuff like this just because it's different, it's unique, it's novel, and it's. I mean, I put it to you this way: if you make the role playing gaming barometer like at one end, you have like something fantabulous and utterly unbelievably good. Like, of course, in my opinion, it would be any of the Crawford games. And then you have at the other end of the scale the barista coffee shop adventure. This is definitely not in the barista coffee shop adventure level of stuff. Because it's got enough serious stuff.
It's playing kind of in that middle ground where it's got some elements where it seems like it's a pretty silly concept for a book.
Mm-hmm.
But once you actually crack open this book and like let that spine crease and crack, you start looking at it, you're like, there's actually an idea here.
Mm-hmm. It's not as dumb as it sounds at first.
No, I mean, and there's a lot of other like third party content that's can be combined with for a lot of extended gaming.
Yeah. Well, I like it. Would that class not just cook and clean for XP? I hope not. Oh, a trad waifu class is what you're talking about. Okay.
Actually, what were all the other? Let me scroll back up here. Let's see those are the companions. Let me try to find those real quick and then we'll. Okay.
Subclasses.
The barbarian path of the promised. Are barbarians whose inspiration for their fighting style are inspired by their desires to protect the ones they love.
Okay, that's not that bad. Home defense. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Ranger of the bonded pair. Gain a partner for life that empowers and complements your ranger abilities. I mean, that kind of beats the animal companion, I guess, maybe. Or maybe you could still have the animal companion and be a bonded waifu pair.
The bard is the college of the Amor. Finally, the rambunctious bard has been defined and can grant their harem of friends and
lovers.
Wait. That harems of friends is a phrase.
Well, I mean,
this is for 5e, so
yeah. Look at the wizard is the love mage.
This is straight up the hand-holding magic class. If you take the rest of the arms of another, both you and their partner game. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Warlock Sugar Daddy?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Daddy. I've been bad. Forgive me.
Oh my God. The kinks and cantrips with this would be bad. Oh. You know, it's so horrible. I really want to see it now. It's kind of one of those train wreck type ideas. It's kind of like, you know, I don't really want to do this, but yes, I do.
And I think the most important part is this is at the very least is expanded to not just to beyond just 5e. This is even if it's only into Pathfinder, it's still into a second system, so it has that multi-system use that will help hopefully prevent people from feeling so locked down to a single system.
Well, what I like about it is the fact that since it has Pathfinder 1E capability, that means there's going to be a lot of feats and probably a few archetypes that you can mine out of there to use for Pathfinder First Edition to break the game even further. Like, we wouldn't do that though, right? Because we're good
No, of
guys.
course not.
No, we wouldn't do that.
Oh, and by the way, the fighter, Battle Bride, a fighter who fights in a dress and uses rallies and bridal flowers to empower allies.
I mean, if it's a girl, it doesn't bother me. If it's a male, it's going to be kind of like, well,
look, we'll just wear kilts. It'll be okay.
Yeah. No, Snorty Bear. No.
You didn't earn your seal for that one today.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I don't need to be sold on it. I already pledged. I'm gonna. Okay. I can't. I have to take a look at this thing now.
Okay, I was wrong. Not 80,000, 35,000 or 38,000. That's still
they've more than doubled their goal, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, and who knows? After people see this video, they may just decide. Too bad we couldn't talk to the creators. That would really help. Well, we got 29 days. Maybe we can hunt them down and ask them.
Yeah, I mean they're on YouTube. We can probably reach out and get them on to talk about this.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, in the meantime, shall we close?
I think so.
Okay. Well, we don't have an outro, not an official one anyway. So, from Ironcaster and myself, thank you very much for hanging out with us on our first Tuesday with Geeks, our first Twig stream. And what we hope is a long and successful batch of streams. Like I said, this is kind of like the more chill stream normally, but it kind of ended up being a lot more game heavy and talk heavy. I didn't even get to talk about all the stuff I wanted to necessarily, so but that's okay. It all worked out pretty good. Maybe next time we'll get some guests and some friends and like really roll the bullshit for an hour. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a fresh start. Time to try something new.
Yes.
Even though we're kind of rolling a little bit of the fun, familiar content in, but let's try during the week.
Yes. Well, all right, everybody. Y'all take care out there in YouTube land, and we will see you Saturday for an official Week in Geek.
Later.